Hey guys, so for those who are new here or who haven't seen my first video, my name is CC and I just wanted to give you guys an update. The first video that I uploaded, I talked about my journey and my struggle dealing with TMAU for about the past 2 years. And I know it's been quite a few months, and I was actually supposed to upload some more videos since then, but life kind of got in the way. And I've been going through like a lot of different stuff, which I'll kind of talk about here. But I just wanted to give you guys an update about what's been going on with me. So, as far as the TMAU symptoms, I haven't really experienced much of a change with that, but to be honest, I haven't really been consistent with dieting or putting in effort as far as like exercising and detoxing and stuff. As I think I mentioned in the last video, like food is my weakness. So, yeah, that's definitely been a struggle and something that I'm still really working to master. Of course, today is December 28th. So I'm hoping that within the new year, maybe I can find a little bit more motivation or something to help me as far as like dieting and exercising and stuff to try to attack this. Basically, I've gone back and forth with trying to do the plant-based diet, and then also exercising because for those who actually do have TMAU, which I'm still in the process of being tested for that, but for people who actually do have that, it's recommended that you do a lot of cardio exercise because it gets the heart pumping and it gets the blood moving, and basically it helps to detoxify the body. So I've been working on that, but like pretty much I've kind of fallen off the wagon as far as like the exercise part, and then as far as the food part, yeah. Like I said, that's been a struggle. As far as cutting out meat, like that hasn't been the hard part, but like as far as cutting out dairy and cutting out sugar, those have been the absolute hardest parts of like the whole food journey. But my plan is to going into 2019 is to really commit to making those changes to see if I can find a diet that does work for me with this. And so I was thinking about maybe taking it per quarter and doing like, so for the first quarter of the year, so the first 3 months, working on eliminating meat from my diet. And then after those first 3 months in the second quarter of the year, then really focusing on removing dairy, removing eggs from my diet, and then also after that, working on removing sugar for like the second half of the year, which I feel like that probably could take me a little bit longer just because sugar is like the main thing that like I seem to can't live without. So yeah, like I'm trying not to do like I've been doing in the past and trying to like do everything at once and do everything cold turkey and try to like quit everything because it really doesn't seem like that's been working for me. And even though like I'm really impatient, I'm trying to pace myself and really try to incorporate these changes gradually. And hopefully by the end of 2019, I can say that I'm 100% plant based and also as little sugar as possible. And if I need to cut out gluten and soy and all those things, because I know those are triggers for some people, then I can work on cutting those out after I've mastered the other stuff. And then as far as like exercising too, I just want to get myself on a consistent regimen with that. But yeah, so obviously, like I said, since I haven't been as consistent as I could have been in these past few months, I haven't really experienced much of a change with the symptoms. I'm still pretty much getting the same reactions that I've been getting since it started, as far as like, you know, the things that we've all experienced as far as like the coughing, the sniffing, the comments, and things like that about the odor or just like allergic reactions to whatever is coming out of our system. So yeah, not much has changed on that front. Um, Pretty much as far as coping, it's still hard on a lot of days. So like I'll have my good days and I'll have my bad days pretty much. Um, and so like I found like what really kind of helps for me is kind of to balance the time that I'm around people with time that I'm by myself. I'm introverted, so pretty much for me, like I can spend a good amount of time by myself without really feeling like I'm lonely or alone or like having to be with other people. But if I do start to feel like I'm getting lonely or like I need to have some social interaction, that's when I'll usually try to like spend time with other people. Or obviously, like if I have to go out for errands and stuff like that, I'm really the only one that can do that for myself at this point. So like I have to do those things. And even with like the holidays that just passed and stuff, and even the New Year's Eve and New Year's Day holiday that are coming up, like I'll still be spending time with people. So like pretty much in between those, and then like even after the holidays are done, I'll probably spend some more time by myself, kind of just to replenish myself, and then kind of to recover from like any comments or any reactions or anything that I've had to deal with from other people. And so like I found that that's helped me a good deal, just to like just to not be totally reclusive, but also to not push myself past my emotional limits and like my energetic limits. So yeah, that's pretty much it as far as like the actual, like dealing with TMAU like day in and day out. But the other thing I did want to talk about was one, I guess since developing this about a year and a half, almost 2 years ago, like some of the changes I feel that dealing with this have brought into my life. So like so before I remember talking about, like how dealing with this has affected me as far as my family, and then like as far as like my friends and stuff like that. And like all of those things that I mentioned before, like the way that my relationships have changed, the way I interact with people, work, all that stuff is pretty much still relevant. But there are, I don't know, I feel like a lot of times, of course, there are a lot of negative things that come with this condition. But like I'm trying to work on seeing some of the positive things that have come from it. And I think part of that is simply because of the spiritual journey that I'm on as well. So basically, like, I don't know, I'm trying, forgive me for rambling, but I'm trying to figure out like which one to start with. I guess I'll just talk about like as far as my job and career and stuff. So the job that I mentioned that I was at in the last video, I actually like probably a few months after that, I ended up putting in my resignation at my job. I was working full time at a university, doing program coordination. And so it's funny because like I had the conversation with my supervisor probably back in like August of 2018. And then I went like back and forth for a couple months before I actually got the courage to put in my notice, which that was awkward in and of itself because I think there was a while where like they were thinking I probably changed my mind or something, and they were like, what is she gonna do? She said that she's leaving, and then like I hadn't left, so like it was weird. But like I was just really going back and forth because like I didn't know if I was just quitting because of the situation that I was dealing with, as far as like dealing with ADHD and then like also TMAU and everything, or if I was leaving because I really felt like I was on a path that wasn't meant for me. But I actually did end up leaving my job at the end of October. And so it's been about 2 months now since I left. And my plan at this point, so I do have savings that, like final paychecks and then savings that I've been living off of for the moment. And I'm also applying for online jobs. But basically, my main goal is to continue working on starting my own business. I think I mentioned it in the last video, but I'm not sure. I don't want to go into complete details about like what the business is and everything yet because I kind of don't want to jinx myself. But I started a coaching course in November, basically to help me get my business started and to go into freelancing work, working for myself. And so my goal is at least by the end of 2019 to be 100% employed, doing freelancing work for myself. Even so, like dealing with TMAU, like, and having to deal with like comments and reactions and like the way that it can really make work difficult, especially like if socializing with people and having good working relationships with other people, if your job is dependent on that, like TMAU can make that like even a lot harder than than it already is. But like in addition to that, I think like having ADHD and just being a person who's never really enjoyed working for other people or to a large extent like with a whole bunch of other people, like I really enjoy just being able to work alone and get my work done. I don't really see myself going back to an employer. So I feel like this, even though the circumstances suck, I do feel like it was the right time for me to make the move that I made. And so that's pretty much going to be my focus for next year is getting myself established business wise and just being able to sustain myself 100% with that income from freelancing. But like I mentioned, I am looking for like part-time online jobs right now just to sustain me in the beginning. But by the end of the year, my goal will be to be 100% self-employed. But that's one major change that's happened over the past few months. And then also the other thing, I won't go completely into that either yet, just because I'm still trying to work out some of the details. But as far as relocating, so I'm currently right now I'm in my home state where I was born and raised, but my goal also within like the first few months of next year is to relocate from where I'm currently living. I'm still looking at different options looking at different options to figure out whether I want to stay within the within the United States or move abroad. But I'm leaning more towards moving abroad, and so I'm just looking into the all the different places I could go, and then like the visa requirements, how long I could stay in like certain countries, and I've pretty much narrowed down my options to like where I want to go. But now I'm just trying to like do the calculations as far as like how much I'll need to go, and then like like how much plane tickets will cost, apartments, things like that. Basically to make sure that I have enough money to live off my savings and then hopefully whatever income I'll have from self-employment while I'm overseas. But that's another thing that like I don't know, like I've always said that I wanted to move far away from home, but like I always found myself in circumstances where like I had the option to leave the state, but I would always choose the option that would keep me here. And then, like, when it came to working for myself, of course, I always saw it as something that I would do maybe eventually one day, but I didn't see it being something that I would do in the immediate sense. So, like, I feel like, I don't know, like, I'm not a person who necessarily believes in, like, God or a higher power sending bad circumstances to you to, like, teach you a lesson or, bring out some, like, positive outcome from it. But, like, sometimes it kind of does feel like from discovering that I had ADHD and like having all those issues at work to like having TMAU develop like right before I started the job that I thought was going to be my dream job and kind of seeing all that kind of blow up in my face. I feel like it kind of was like the perfect storm of events to kind of get me on the path that like in theory I thought might be ideal, but like I don't think I would have ever really I don't think I would have ever really made movement on this path if any of this stuff hadn't happened. Like, I feel like I would probably still be working at the same job. I'd probably have no plans of leaving the state, or like I would, but it would still kind of be like that, oh, I'm going to do it someday type thing versus, okay, I don't have any other options. I have to make this work. So I think that's like, I don't know if I would call it like a blessing that's come from this, but like it's definitely, I guess I would call it a blessing. It's definitely one of the positive things that, like, even if this wasn't intentional, I feel like it's one of the positive things that I can take from this experience that I've been through. And then like the other thing I feel like has kind of been a byproduct of all of this is like, I feel like going through dealing with ADHD and TMAU and dealing with like pretty much like my whole life that I had pictured for myself kind of like crashing down around me. I feel like my sense of spirituality has kind of grown from this. And so like, just to preface, like, I am, I can't really say like what I am. Like, I'm not an atheist because like, I don't know, like the things that I've been studying as far as like astrology and numerology and all of those things, like I feel like they're way too accurate for there not to be something out there, but like I'm not exactly sure what's out there. So like I won't call myself an atheist, but like I'm definitely not a Christian. I definitely don't really have like a a religion that like you could pinpoint or identify. But like I said, before this developed, like I was venturing toward atheism, but I still wasn't completely sure. But like in addition to that though, like on the other side, I was also looking more into like astrology and different things like that. So like I developed TMAU around like mid 2017. But I'd been studying like astrology since about late 2015. I just started following these different accounts on Twitter and stuff. And of course, like, you know, you see tweets or like retweet stuff about like your sun sign. I'm a Sagittarius sun sign. But then like looking at, I started studying more in depth. So like I had signed up for a reading. Can't remember the, can't, excuse me, I can't remember what it was for. But I had signed up for an astrology reading because I wanted to get some insight about something I was dealing with at the time. And I saw that the astrologer that I was going to book the reading through, he actually had some classes. It was a 6 week astrology class that was available at the time, and the price was only about like $10 or $15 more than the reading. So I was like, okay, I can get one reading now, and he could either, you know, do Skype or like email me a reading and it would be like a one time thing, or I could just pay like this extra $10, $15 and like I could go through my chart for 6 weeks and learn. I could get the reading and then I could still learn more in depth and get more understanding over those 6 weeks. So I felt like it was worth it, obviously, to pay for the class. So I paid for that. And that's like the first time that I really was able to go like in depth and learn more about what astrology is, like outside of your sun sign and all of that stuff. So like I feel like when people talk about astrology, and especially people who might like, they talk about how astrology isn't true, or they talk about like, you know, like how they don't believe in it. I feel like it's because none of those people have actually studied it in depth. So like I won't get into further like detail right now, but I do want to maybe make some videos about it later. But basically, when a person tells you like, "Oh, I'm a Sagittarius," or "Oh, I'm a Gemini," or "I'm a Leo," those are basically just their sun sign. So that's the zodiac sign that represents where the sun was when you were born. But basically, there's like so the astrological chart. I wish I could pull it up and show it. But basically, imagine a circle that's divided into 12 parts, and so that you'll have that circle, and it'll be divided into what's called like 12 different houses, and each of those 12 houses represent a different part of life in your life. And so you have all of those, and then you have all of your signs, all of the signs of the zodiac in those different 12 houses. And then in addition to that, there's, ooh, don't get me to line, but like, there's like, well, like 10, 9 or 10 planets or so that are within those 12 houses. Some people might have like 3 planets in one house, a planet in another house, 2 planets in this house, but like they're scattered all throughout the chart. And then in addition to all those planets and all those houses, you have what are called aspects. So like if you ever look at a birth chart and you see like 50 million like different colored lines going all through it, those are different aspects from different planets to other planets, and from different houses to other houses within the chart. So like it's really complex. And so those are some of the things that I learned about in the astrology course that I feel like a lot of people don't understand. And so that's why they don't really understand why astrology is as accurate as it is. But after studying that, and taking that class and then like keeping in contact with him, after the course, and then also like doing my own study, like, I don't know, like it kind of opened up something within me. And like, that's why I can't really, that's why like I really don't want to call myself an atheist at this point. Like I call myself a skeptic, but I can't 100% say that like God doesn't exist, just because in studying like my own personal birth chart and then looking at like other people's birth charts, like things literally line up to a T in my chart, like that actually have happened in my life or that I'm actually experiencing at the moment in my life. So like there's no way to me that something could be that accurate unless like, I don't know, like there's some energy or formula or force or something that I don't understand that's like at work. So like that's where I was, in the beginning. And then pretty much, I kind of was interested in tarot. Like I used to get readings, but like I never delved into it for myself. But then like once TMAU started and like I was dealing with all that, I felt like I kind of developed more interest in it. I don't know if it was just because like I was searching for meaning in all of it, or like I think I think it was that, but I think the main thing was just like I was seeking guidance as far as like what to do next. And then also kind of like I noticed how in looking at my birth chart before, I would see where certain transits would be happening, and then I could see like, okay, that's, I could point out in the chart like that's why I'm going through this, or this kind of gives me a clue as to that happening. So like I was trying to find something in my chart that would explain like why TMAU kind of just started all of a sudden, just kind of like out of nowhere at 26. So I think that's what my initial motivation was. And so I started to look into astrology more and study that. And then I also started to study tarot more. So like I would, of course, tune in to like a lot of different YouTube channels, as far as tarot readers. I know one that I tuned into and still tune into a lot is Astrolata's channel. And then like a lot of the readers on there that like I felt like my spirit resonated with, like I would listen to them, and then I would also subscribe to their personal channels that they would put up and like follow them, when they did tarot readings. I've gotten readings from some of them before that have been pretty spot on. And then also, as of recent, I've downloaded like some different apps, and I've started to read, or at least learned how to read for myself. And a couple weeks ago, I actually bought like my first tarot deck. So I am also learning how to start reading for myself with physical cards. And so it's really, I don't know, like I don't know if there's actually a science behind that, but like it's just been really, it's been really interesting to see how like you can just pull cards and like it'll literally tell you like either what's in your subconscious or the thing that you really need to hear or need to know. Like you'll literally pull those messages. And like I don't know how it works, but like I don't know, I feel like I've really developed my intuition through through learning how to read tarot, because that's basically what it's based in. it's basically just you tapping into your own intuition, which is why, like I said, a lot of times, like if something's on your subconscious mind and you pull a card, it can be either advice for you, or it could just be like, say, if you didn't meditate beforehand or you're not really paying attention, it could just be mirroring what's already in your mind or what you're already thinking about or worrying about at the moment. But like, I found that doing that has really helped me like become more intuitive. So like, I feel like I've always been intuitive to an extent, but like, I don't know, like as I've had to deal with this condition and as I've sought more spiritual guidance as far as like just seeking within my own self, doing meditation, things like that, I feel like, I don't know, I feel like it's getting stronger as far as like being able to read people's energy, being able to like read vibes from people, being able to like feel the atmosphere within a room, within myself. I know one thing that I've dealt with a lot is like being really indecisive. And like, I guess that's probably a symptom of like denying my intuition. But I feel like as I'm getting more intuitive, like I'm not as indecisive as I used to be. I just usually just go with my first thought or my first choice, and that usually actually ends up being accurate. So like I feel like it's helping me to learn how to trust myself more. But yeah, so that's pretty much like that's my tarot journey, that I've been exploring. And then in addition to that, like just recently, well, I won't say recently. I think it kind of started when I was at my previous job. Like I said, I've been looking into a lot of different spiritual things to kind of just get guidance as far as like what I was supposed to do. Was I supposed to leave my job? Was I supposed to start this business? Just pretty much just life in general. And like I started to notice that like I would see repeating numbers a lot, which I know a lot of people have mentioned. A lot of people mention that like as they're spiritually developing, they see a lot of different numbers. Excuse me. Excuse me. So so yeah, like I started to see particularly I would see like the numbers 333 a lot, 444 and 555 a lot. And that's continued like over the months. But like now I've noticed that like I see like also in addition to those, like I see a lot of 1111s, 111s, 222, pretty much all the digits I see a lot. Also 1234 I see a lot, and then like 1010 I see a lot. And so like I started to do more research into numerology, and like angel numbers, and just trying to learn like what those messages mean. And then in addition to that, like I just started to look into numerology in general. And I actually got a really good reading from a numerologist that I follow on Twitter. I can't remember what her name is. What her name is Kiara, but I can't remember what her Twitter handle is. If I can remember it or find it, I will put it in the description so that you guys can follow her and possibly book a reading with her. But basically, the way numerology goes is like they look at they look at a bunch of different things. So like there's what a lot of people probably know is like your life path number, which is like basically the path that you're supposed to follow while you're here on earth. There's your soul urge number, your karma number, so like the number that talks about like the major lesson that you're supposed to learn here in this life. What else is there? I think there's like your maturity number. I think there's like a soul expression number. So like there's like quite a few numbers, and they're calculated in different ways. Whether it be like using your date of birth, your personal year is calculated using your birthday and the current year that it is, and like adding those digits together. Goodness, what was I gonna say? Some of them are calculated by using like your name. So like the letters in your name each equal a certain digit, and then you add all those together, and then you reduce it to like the core number, and that's supposed to tell you different things. But I got like a really in-depth reading from this not astrologer, numerologer. And like I felt like that was really enlightening too. So like when I first got it, I got it like on Halloween actually of this past year. But like I didn't really look at it at first because basically I was just trying to find the answer to the question that I had asked her. But like I didn't look at like the actual in-depth reading for like all the other life advice that was in it. But like I found that like over the past few months, like not October of this year, October of last year. But since October of last year, like I've looked back at that report, I don't know like how many times, and like every time I look at it, I feel like I find something that resonates with me. But basically, like I do want to do another video that talks about it, but like one of the main things that like I've taken from it as I've looked back at that report lately was just like the significance of my life path number. So, like I said, that's like the number that talks about like the path that your soul is meant to take in this life, and it tells you about like different lessons you're supposed to learn and like how you're supposed to navigate, and then like also the challenges you'll have. And so, my life path, so like one of the rules of numerology is like if there's a double digit number, so 11, 22, 33, 44, or 55, you're not supposed to break those numbers down into like their single digit, or at least like you can, but like the highest the highest manifestation of that number is the double digit. And then you also look at the reduced form, which is adding those two together. The reduced form is like the lower vibration of that number. So my life path number, when you add it all up, is it equals to 11. And then my life path is called 11/2 because if you add 1 and 1, they equal 2. So like 11 is the higher vibration, 2 is the lower vibration. And so basically both those themes are relevant in my life. But basically, I'm trying to see, let me see if I can look it up because I'm not gonna remember all this verbatim. So basically when I've been studying this like over the past few days, like I don't know why I was just motivated to start looking at my life path number again. Maybe it was my intuition, maybe it was spirit, I'm not sure. But like it's just been really helpful in just thinking about TMAU and thinking about like how it's affected me like these past 2 years or so, and then just thinking about like how I don't know like how to cope and like how to move forward. So I kind of just wanted to read and then like give like my take on it a little bit, but like I said, I'm gonna do like an actual separate video on it. But basically, individuals with the life path 11 number are very intuitive. In fact, the most intuitive of all numbers. They are sensitive and have a great understanding of others and can sense a great deal about what is going on behind the scenes. Definitely me. For example, they will pick up on people's relationships and health without being told anything. They are here to use their gifts of intuition and sensitivity to help others. Life Path of 11 has the qualities of the number 2 magnified. If you have this number, you are spiritually aware, a visionary, inspiring, charismatic, inventive, a dreamer, idealistic, a deep thinker, and you rely on faith rather than logic to deal with life and all it has to offer. So yeah, so I feel like that really describes me pretty much. I don't know if it did as much earlier in life, or maybe if like I wasn't completely open to it, because like I said, like I'm not a Christian now, but like I used to be, and so like I wasn't really into all of this stuff before. But now that I've opened up more to it, like I definitely feel like those things are starting to come out as far as like my intuition, being able to pick up on things within people, within environments. But I'm trying to find the other page that I was looking at that basically it talked about how I don't know if it's because they're more intuitive or like they're more like spiritually ascended or what, but like people who have a life path 11 tend to have a lot more challenges in life than other people. And they have like harder challenges than other people in life. And so like before I dealt with TMAU, like I mean, that really didn't resonate with me, I guess. I mean, I've been through a lot of challenges, but like I feel like there are things that other people have been through too, as far as like child abuse, and things like that that I'm working to overcome. But like I don't know, like something like this, especially like not having dealt with it from birth, but like having it just kind of hit me, like at the age of 26, like I mentioned. I don't know, like it just seems like that's one of those challenges that like you can't, I don't know, I mean, like it's rare, so like not everybody has to deal with something like this. So yeah, like that whole part that definitely resonated with me. And like in the videos that I was watching, there are two numerologists that really resonate with me, that I've been watching their videos on YouTube. One is Bridget Love, and then the other is ooh, my brain. Her first name is escaping me, but her last name is Perry. Um, I want to say Susan Perry, but I can't remember. But I'm sure if you type in like Perry numerology, she'll probably come up. She pretty much all her work centers around life path 11s, because like I mentioned, like because I guess they are more intuitive and more spiritual. She says that those are the people that seek her out the most. So like that's what all her work really focuses on. But watching their videos kind of gave me a lot more insight into it. They pretty much reiterated the fact that like life path 11s do have a lot more challenges than other people, in their lives. And basically, the challenge is for them to overcome those things that are challenges for them, so that they can turn them into lessons for the collective, pretty much, and so that they can help other people. I don't know, like if you've heard the phrase like the wounded healer, but like that's pretty much what life path 11s are. Like they go through all kinds of shit pretty much so that they can help bring consciousness and help bring healing to other people. And then also, they were talking about how like the challenges and stuff that we go through as life path 11s, basically, like the main goal in our lives is to overcome those things and like reclaim our personal power. My brain is the ADHD, I guess. Like it's escaping me, but pretty much like yeah, like I said, our life path, like we're not crazy. Like it is intentionally harder than a lot of people's. And like I know that a lot of times people when we deal with this, we say like, okay, well yeah, it could be worse. We're not going through something that's fatal, or we shouldn't complain because we could have it a lot worse, and that is true. We Anybody could have it worse. So like you could say that literally to anybody. Like anybody's situation could be worse. So I don't really feel like that's I don't know, like I don't feel like that's like a super valid statement. I feel like it's kind of just invalidating people's feelings. But anyway, like even though we could have it worse, I think there's also it does have to be acknowledged that like the shit that we're going through is a lot worse than what anybody else will ever experience. But even though we are experiencing it, part of our challenge and part of our life's work is to overcome those things, even though it does seem like it's not fair. It seems like shit is being thrown at us that other people can't comprehend. Basically, our challenge is to still overcome that because we have something that is within us, whether it's spiritually or whatever our message is, whatever light we were created to bring to the world, we have to bring that to the world. And the way